Hello, 422. Hope all is going well. Talked to a lot of you a lot recently, so that's awesome. So I think mostly we're all on the same page. Just to kind of give you a heads up for this week, a few things. Normally, if we were meeting live, like traditionally pre-COVID type things, we'd be kind of in the midst of micro teaching, which would take up a lot of our class time. So the assignments hopefully are not, a lot of the nuts and bolts stuff is starting to wind down, and your bigger stuff is starting to be due. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the syllabus just so I'm on the same page and you kind of see what I'm talking about. But as you can see, this I'm recording it this week. It's actually the 5th. But as you can see, you got your quiz, which I think I notified, just give it a shot. I know there's some little bit of issues on there. Blog 10, which is just kind of a general thought. And then, I'm sorry, both of them, Blog 10 and Flipgrid 10, are just kind of general things that, your kind of your opinions or what you would use. This week, micro teaching is due. Some of you have actually already sent me micro teaching, and that is fine. If you're in the field and you're recording and you have permission, that is fine. Just make sure. I know some of you have already gotten waivers and things like that for 443 and 370 to do that type of stuff. Also, if you have to, you can always blur out faces if you're doing it virtually. So if you have to. So recording like that is fine. Normally I would love for us to just kind of do it so we could share ideas, but we're just going to make do with the teaching as we do have to. So that is totally fine. That is the big thing this week, the micro teaching. Discussion 5 is also due. I'm going to talk about that. I have something I want you to kind of think about with discussion 5 a little bit. But micro teaching is the big thing due on the 16th. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this because it is coming up. It's the biggie. Unit plan is also coming up. It's due on the 22nd. I think I told you I'm going to be around on campus on the 23rd, 24th doing transfer advising. So you are welcome. If you need an extra day or so, that's fine. Just give me the heads up if that's going to be the case. For your sanity, I would probably still shoot for the 22nd. I think that's a Sunday. So I don't mind. Normally we have stuff due on Monday, and that's, I don't want to change that up too much if it's going to cause you any problems. I know on there it says C3. One person, maybe two sharp-eyed people email me about that. That is the inquiry-based learning that we've kind of talked about with the Bird Center and the C3 approach. That was the one that I told you all. I had a new template and I pumped the brakes on because not being live, I wanted us to meet and kind of go over how to fill out that template. It's the unit plan template that is posted, and I am going to show it to you now sorry, I have a mess open up there. It's on week 5, and I sent an email out that week 5 is still open if you need anything. That was the unit plan week a long time ago. As you can see, there's all the C3 framework. There's my face. There's the unit plan materials. That's got the template. It's got a lot of this stuff in there. As you can see, this was a pretty busy week, actually. So, you're welcome to check all of that out. It's awesome. Also, sorry, someone just walked in my door. My wife got it, but it just threw me off. But I'm not stopping to film. I can hear them talking, and I'm not going to stop. Not that you care. All right. With that being said, unit plan, 22nd. If you need an extra day or two, that's fine. Just give me the heads up. Micro teaching. Those are the biggies that we're coming to the end game. I'm going to quote Dr. Strange. I said that on, I think, 380 already today if you're in that class. But in Avengers Endgame, he's like, we're in the end game now. Or maybe that was Infinity War. One of those. He said, we're in the end game. That is the case. This week, this is going to be a little bit of a repeat if you are in 380. But don't worry, it's a little different concept. It's the same concept, but a little different. If you look, the title of this week is The Future of Social Studies Education. And I know I've said National Council of Social Studies a lot in this class just because they have resources and they kind of, most things work their way back to them as far as concepts and all. I'm not for sure how old everyone is, but I kind of have an idea. If you were alive in the year 2000 or can remember the year 2000, there was a whole bunch of stuff that came out. A lot, especially in the early part of the decade. About 21st century skills. This is the future. Top 10 lists. This is what we need to do. This is what was the best thing of the 20th century. And all this stuff. Well, one big thing that came out of education was 21st century skills. And then 380 even reading a book related to 21st century skills. Well, in 2008, I think it was 2008, the National Council of Social Studies actually came up with a list of 12. 12 seems to be the number, 21st century skills for social studies teachers and for the social studies itself. And I'm going to post this article up if you want to check it out. It was 2008. But they kind of created a whole detailed map and how to do it. Actually, I'm going to post an idea of what the maps look like. This is National Geographic has some stuff up that they just updated related to it. If you want to check it out. That's not really where I'm going with this because this is a 12-year-old concept. But they're still in place and they still have, a lot of people still refer back to them. Well, let's just look at them first and then I'll tell you what I want you to do on the discussion board. If you look here, there's some things. There's, creativity and innovation. That's a regular 21st century skill if you've already done 380 or just in general. When you teach, you want to have creative lessons. You want to have innovative lessons. And from the student point of view, you want your students to reflect some creativity and innovation in making and designing things. Pretty standard. That's a social studies. That was one of the social studies ones also. Natch, critical thinking, problem solving, that's your higher level Bloom's, that's way up there. Communication, it's key. I will make the point about communication. That is just, it's not just this, like talk. It's also about written communication, which in some ways might even be more important for students' futures. Pretty much any type of employment, any type of career, you need to have some sort of written capabilities. That's a type of communication. Collaboration, these are the 4 C's, by the way. I didn't make that point in 380, but they all come in there. That's the heart of the 21st century skills. So you can see information literacy. That's really important in social studies. One reason that it's very important in social studies is because when you have research projects, students need to be able to determine if it's a quality source or not. I think I've already went down the Wikipedia hole and told you my opinions on it. I kind of came full circle because I felt a little bit like a hypocrite, but I expected students to validate the information that they found. That's something. And if you're doing primary, secondary source, if some of you came to the Bird Center thing, they were talking a little bit about primary source and secondary source documents and the validity of it, specifically secondary sources. It's a skill that you need to practice with the materials that you're sharing with your students and the information when you're doing research. Because I think you're going to find when you teach social studies, history especially, which is what most of you are probably going to teach, or civics, it's big, it's long, it's thousands of years. You're not going to know everything about everything. You may think you know everything about everything, but you're going to have to go back and refresh yourself. I was a history major. I feel like I'm pretty strong in it. But that doesn't mean I don't forget stuff or have to re-examine things, or if I haven't taught something in a while, I have to go back and look at it again. So you may need to make sure that you have good sources. The media literacy, that's again kind of connects to that, but it's also the technology aspect that kind of gets in there. Is it valid? Are they getting it from good places? What is especially with research, that's something I don't know if I said in any of the blogs. I don't know why I was rolling my eyes there, but one thing I said on the blogs, make sure you're checking out the endings of your websites, edu, .org, .us. Those are good ones. Some person that's blogging in, the middle of nowhere, that's just their viewpoint. Students don't always filter out that information or take that idea. Technology literacy, things like that, communication technology, your social networks, information, how are they getting it? Again, you can kind of pick up a theme. Flexibility, adaptability, you need to be flexible. Your students need to be flexible. Need to adapt to situations. I'm going to go on a tangent again. Sorry, 380 students, if you heard this already. To me, flexibility, if you're a teacher and organization, are the 2 most important skills, especially coming in first year, but in general, you don't want to get stagnant, especially that's something a lot of teachers fight 5, 6, 7 years into it because you get comfortable with stuff. And also you need to adapt to new situations and not, I don't want to say freak out, but things are fluid in education. They just are. So you need to be able to adapt, and also organization that helps with, keeping your sanity a little bit. Um, showing initiative, taking a stand, maybe in social studies, that's standing up and leading some sort of community drive, doing some sort of community volunteer thing. That could be you organizing it. It could be your students, especially if you have older students, taking an initiative to do something, try something different. Social cross-cultural skills, now this is where we're kind of getting a little bit, these are the pretty standard ones. These are not much different. These are the 12. Those social and cross-cultural skills, I've seen that somewhere, global awareness. That's a very social studies one. And even today, I mean, that's very valid with all the stuff that's been going on in 2020. The understanding, if you've looked at any of the recent the NCSS sites, a lot of the current lesson plans relate to cross-cultural understandings. 1619 project, which we did a discussion board on and a little bit of talk, that kind of gets into that. Productivity, accountability, social studies skills, leadership, responsibility. I think those are self-explanatory, but again, you need to show good leadership. You need to model good leadership. You want your students to take some sort of responsibility. I'm going to post this article up, but here's why I wanted to run through this. I was thinking about this. This list is 12 years old. It's old. Kids are born there in middle school now. I want you to come up with, on the discussion board, 10 21st or updated 21st century skills that you think are important for social studies students. You may have a little bit of a repeat here. Just don't cut and paste this list. Think of it. You can word them however you want. If they're just little blurbs, that's fine. Just what are 10 things that you think your students should know for the 21st century for social studies? It might be tech oriented. It might be content oriented. It could be civics oriented. It might be more education oriented. It might not just be something that applies strictly to social studies. I actually was thinking about this when I was planning this week. I might actually post mine up too this week, just in case you're curious. It's just me. It's just kind of a thought process. This is a difficult topic, and it's kind of, it's what you want to think. What do you want your students to get out of your class? Now, some of these, like I say, I think you're going to probably, you might use a game like critical thinking is obviously something you probably want your students to have, but maybe you can get a little more subject specific. Maybe you want your students to be able to debate. Maybe you want your students to have an understanding of a certain location because you think it's important. Maybe you think your students should have, I think you're kind of getting what I was saying. It can be a little more specific to the field of social studies than just the general ones. When these were created, it was they were mapped and they were broken down. But I want to know what your 10 skills, so to speak, that you want your students and honestly what you want to reflect in a social studies classroom would be. That's kind of the thing. So let's narrow this. I'll narrow it. I'm sorry, I'm babbling. Just for simplicity's sake. I want you to give me 10 skills that you want your students to take out of your social studies class, or you feel that the students should take out of their social studies program. Granted, some may not. Don't think about it like I teach 10th grade world history, so I'm not going to worry about civics. Just if they're in high school, what are the 10 that you want them to take out? If they're in middle school, what are the 10 you want them to take out? I would probably think about it 6 through 12. What do you want your students, when they start 6th grade and they finish in 12th grade, what skills do you want them to have out of the field of social studies? So that was a lot of words just for me to get to that sentence. 6 through 12. What skills do you want your students to have specific to the field of social studies? That's it. I'll put this up on the discussion board also and word it a little more streamlined than what I just said. So that's it. Micro teaching, get it done. Unit plans, work on them. I'm available. Please email me if you have questions related to anything with the unit plans. I think I got back with them. I hope I did. And if I didn't, please tell me. Someone had sent me actually kind of your unit plan to take a quick peek at. Sorry, someone was out the window too. Not out my window. The trash truck was coming and I heard it. I looked there. No, someone's not out my window. I'm on the second floor. Also, if you want to send me your unit plans to just kind of see if you're on the right track, that is fine. Templates up under week 5. If you really need a template, I think I've sent it out to a few people. Just email me. So that's it. I've got distracted 2 times. I had people walking up my stairs. I got people out the window. I'm babbling about instructions. I'm going to go ahead and call it and tell you all that I will talk to you later. Bye.